There's an adventure inside all of us. Some of us live for that adventure. Others let it take them someplace new. Your adventure begins here at Wind River Resort and Casino. Your adventure begins here at Wind River Resort and Casino.
Good morning, everyone. I've got my cup of coffee. How about you? Maybe you don't drink coffee. Maybe you drink something else in the morning. But hope you're having a good start to your Wednesday. Looking at a live shot from our Reading Divine Sky Camp, exclusive here to Weather NorCal. I want to thank Divine Restaurant for sponsoring this camp. Of course, it's on the beautiful Divine Restaurant overlooking Reading. You can see some of the clouds we're actually seeing out there this morning, making for a beautiful sunrise picture, which, by the way, if you get a beautiful sunrise picture this morning, why not share it with everybody? And all you have to do is share it from the free Weather NorCal app, and you just might see it right here on Coffee with Krueger, and even the morning update. Taking a look at Lake Shastina Golf Resort this morning, and yeah, a couple of clouds out there again this morning too. These are what we call stratocumulus, so they're a little bit higher than the typical cumulus clouds in the mid-levels of the atmosphere, but no rain obviously associated with these clouds. We're not going to see any rainfall anytime soon at this point. Taking a look at Shasta Lake at Jones Valley Resort, sponsored by Elwood Ranch. You can see some of the clouds that we have out there this morning, turning out to be a gorgeous start to the day. You look at the flags off in the distance, and we don't have much wind blowing over the lake this morning. And taking a look at the visibility, it just depends on where you are, but there is a bit of a marine layer along the coast. Some areas seeing more fog than others, even a little bit of drizzle out there this morning. This is a look at Crescent City Harbor District, just kind of overcast. We have the 10-mile visibility. That's just because the fog hasn't really lowered. We're looking at what we call that stratus deck, where it's just kind of that marine layer just kind of hanging out, making for a gray start to the day. But there could be some clearing later on this afternoon. All right, let's go and take a look at our Krueger's Quick Cast. It's Wednesday, August 19th. Here we go. Temperatures right now, it's still pretty mild. Kind of a mild start to the day, right? We're talking mid to upper 60s in the valley, although Chico about 72 right now. 46 for El Tourist, mid 50s right now along the coast. All right, let's take a look at out the door this morning. So for this morning, we are talking temperatures in the low 70s for the valley, mid 50s for the north coast, and even, of course, the marine layer that we talked about. Otherwise, mainly sunny skies and some of the clouds that we are seeing this morning. Now, where are these clouds coming from? Really, it's been the last few days. You see that spin of low pressure down to our south and west? That has been kind of pumping up some very weak disturbances that have been tapping into a little bit of moisture, and that is what's giving us some of the cloud cover. Now, that same area of low pressure will eventually impact us later this week with cooler temperatures. Maybe, just maybe, some rain, but don't count on it. All right, so let's take a look at Futurecast here for today. And you can see the marine layer along the coast, again, having a hard time burning off, so some areas may not see much clearing along the coast. And if you have a swamp cooler, if you were able to stay cool with your swamp cooler yesterday, then you'll be able to stay cool today, because we're just not going to see much change from that swamp cooler output at 77 degrees here for today. All right, so for today, much like yesterday, Reading saw a high of 103 yesterday. Today, 102. All right, so we're splitting hairs, right? Still about 102 degrees for Reading, 95 in Willows, 98 degrees for Chico, mid-60s on average for the coast. Tonight, we're dropping down into the mid to upper 60s. Looks like in the 50s here for the higher elevations and 50s for the coast. Let's take a look at that 7-day outlook. There it is. Yeah, temperatures still about 100 degrees for Reading, but really across the board, here's what we're going to notice. For the most part, temperatures are dropping as we go into the weekend. And really, it's next week that we're going to see an even bigger drop in our temperatures across the board for the valley, for the mountains, and even for some of those inland areas as well. Hey, we got Kenny Elwood checking in this morning. Good morning to you, Kenny. Hope you're having a good start to your day. By the way, Kenny, I may be texting you this morning after the show. I'd like to talk to you about something that I've got an idea. I've been talking to someone that I think you've actually been in contact with not too long ago. And we've got a couple of ideas that we'd like maybe you to be a part of. So I'll be getting in contact with you, and maybe Garrett as well. And we'll kind of talk about it. All right, let's take a look at our fire weather outlook. We just looked at our Krueger's Quick Cast, right? Just a kind of a quick look at the forecast. Now let's just kind of transition before we get to the deeper dive. Let's talk about the fires. what I like to do here at Weather NorCal is in the morning, really kind of focus on any fires out there, give you the details that you want and need. I don't really go into as much detail during the day unless there's something major happening. All right, so just kind of give you an idea of what we do here at Weather NorCal. All right, so here's the latest warnings and evacuation orders. No changes really since this week. You can see the fire perimeter, and where the orders are is basically where the fire perimeter is. Now, we have seen some better containment over the last 24 hours. We're up to 26% containment, which, by the way, most of that containment is on the west and southwest side of the fire, which is good, right? Because that's protecting any of the communities along Highway 96, right? So that's good. It's kind of the north and east side of the fire, and even the south side of the fire, that doesn't have that containment just yet. Now, where we saw most of the recent activity here has been kind of the gap of where that fire perimeter isn't, right? So we're probably going to fill in that gap of that fire perimeter here over the next couple of days. All right, so let's take a look at kind of distance to the communities, and we're probably not going to see it move much closer to many of these communities because, again, the containment, where we're seeing the containment of the fire, is going to be protecting those particular communities. In the meantime, we take a look at the bug fire, now at 93,733 acres, 94% containment, 94, so that's good. Now, we are still seeing smoke coming in from the MP18 fire. Not as much. You know, as they're starting to kind of suppress that fire a bit, we're just not seeing as much smoke coming from it. But where we will see smoke is generally within the vicinity of the fire. So places like Hoopa, southwestern Siskiyou County, northern Trinity County. And then it'll continue into tonight as well, and then dissipating again going into tomorrow morning. Fire weather risk, color coding, right? Yellows and oranges, moderate to high fire weather risk. Oranges and reds, high to very high fire weather risk. Now, we're not getting into the very high range, but the numbers on your screen indicate humidity, and it's still going to be quite dry out there. Now, one thing that I am tracking is the winds may pick up on Friday. What that's going to do is probably elevate that fire weather risk because it will be hot, it will be dry, and of course those winds. That elevates the fire weather risk. When you have all three of those components, if a fire starts, it's going to spread pretty rapidly. And that's why we need to really be extra cautious on Friday, because the winds will die down on Saturday, and as a result, yes, we start to see that fire weather risk begin to drop a little bit, but still in the moderate to high range. All right, that's a look at the latest on the fires. Before we get to the deeper dive, let's take a look at some of the cameras. And Kenny, if you're watching, here's one of the beautiful cameras from Divine Skycam. Look at that, just some of the clouds that we are seeing out there this morning. We can see that there still is a bit of haze out there. And of course, you know, a lot of those fires in Southern Oregon, that's where a lot of the haze is. Taking a look at Shasta Lake, sponsored by Elwood Ranch. Taking a look at Jones Valley Resort. Still a little bit of choppiness, if you will, on the lake. Is that an official term? Do fishermen and anglers go, it's choppiness. There's some choppiness on the water. Probably not. Or I say a little choppy. I don't know. I don't do much fishing, as you can probably tell. Take a look at Lake Shastina Golf Resort, also sponsored by Elwood Ranch. Again, some of those stratocumulus clouds that we are seeing over the mountain, turning out to be a gorgeous start to the day, and yeah, a little bit of that haze from the smoke from the fires in Southern Oregon. Here's a look at Soda Ridge. You can see some of the clouds that we're seeing kind of in the upper levels of the atmosphere there. This is the Lassen Volcanic National Park. Yeah, we're even seeing a few clouds over there as well. And taking a look at Lake Oroville, that spillway is looking a little dry, although we are still seeing the lake drop by over a foot every 24 hours. That's not good, but still looking pretty good and pretty healthy for this time of the year. There's a look at Highway 99 at Neal Road. We're also looking at Crescent City Harbor District. Kind of a lot of activity with the birds this morning. Must be doing some feeding this morning. But there you can see the overcast skies we have there. There's been some drizzle and some fog there as well. Taking a look at Bald Hill West, yeah, you got the smoke kind of just pooling into the valley. So typically what happens is you got the smoke in the air, and then when the cooler air comes in, it just kind of grabs onto that smoke, and it just sinks down into the mountain valleys. And that's what we're seeing this morning, so a bit smoky for some of those inland valley communities, especially around the fire. Otherwise, you can see that marine layer kind of above that, kind of making its way over the mountains. Fort Jones, we are seeing some clouds out there this morning, as we've seen in Siskiyou County. As you know, we've got a primary sponsor for Coffee with Krueger, and that is Wind River Resort and Casino.
Ready to laugh until it hurts. The legendary Gary Owen is bringing his unfiltered, unscripted, and wildly hilarious No Hard Feelings tour to the Wind River Event Center Sunday, August 30th. Voted one of the most in-demand touring comedians in the country. This event is sure to make you laugh from the start. Tickets start at just $60 plus fees. For all the details or to snag your tickets, call 1-800-280-YOU-WIN. Your adventure begins here at Wind River Resort and Casino.
All right, so now we get into that deeper dive forecast for your Wednesday, August 19th. Let's get you right into it. Now, first of all, slightly warmer over the next few days. Really, what we saw yesterday, what we're going to see today, about the same. We're going to shave off a few degrees for tomorrow, but still around 100 degrees for some of us in the valley, and then eventually slightly cooler by the end of the week, through this weekend, and especially next week. I expect temperatures to drop below normal, mid-90s on average, although places like Chico probably closer to the low 90s. Yeah, looking much more pleasant for next week. 69 degrees for Redding, 68 degrees for Chico, 46 out in El Turris. We got 57 in Wairika, and mid-50s right now along the coast, with, of course, that marine layer holding on. Now, this is something I've been talking about the last few days, and it's an area of low pressure spinning away. Now, it's moderated. It's not a cold area of low pressure by any stretch. It did kind of originate from the north. It's moderated, but what it's going to do is a couple of things. Number one, it is helping to kind of stream in some of those clouds that we're seeing. So what's happening is these disturbances are rotating around the area of low pressure, and they're working their way into Northern California. So the last few mornings and even afternoons, we've seen clouds at times making for some nice sunrises, making for some nice sunsets, but that's really the extent of it. Now, here's the thing. This area of low pressure may potentially bring a few raindrops to Northern California. But do we get excited about it? Do we go, oh my goodness, I need to cancel my plans? No, not even close. All right, let's talk about that for a second. All right, so there's the area of low pressure right here, right? So this moves out to the north and east. So the deal is this. It's going to tap into some moisture, as you can see right here. There's a little bit of that subtropical moisture here. We got some of the monsoon moisture kind of trying to work its way in as well. Most of the showers and thunderstorms right over the desert southwest. But you see the showers that are developing over southern Oregon and Oregon in general. This is trying to work its way into Northern California as well. So here's the deal. A few things that are working against us to really see any rainfall. Number one, this thing is very weak. It's not really having a big impact. As you can see, even the Pacific Northwest not seeing a lot of rainfall. Number two, it's really not tapping into a ton. There's just not a ton of available moisture for this area of low pressure to really tap into. So it doesn't have a big moisture source. And number three, it's been very dry over us. So any rain that does fall from these clouds on Thursday and Friday will most likely evaporate before it reaches the ground. So think about this. It's raining. It's so dry at the surface that that rain just evaporates, which is a little bit of a cooling process, and that'll help to cool our temperatures down as well. But you'll probably notice on both Thursday and Friday periods of time where you see the streaks coming from the clouds, the base of the clouds, but it just doesn't make its way to the surface. So that's why I was saying don't cancel any outdoor plans, because that's essentially what's going on. Then that area of low pressure moves off to the north and east, but we've got another area of low pressure coming in from the Gulf of Alaska that's going to really kind of squash that heat. Let's talk about that in more detail. So this, again, we talked about the rain associated with that, or lack thereof. And then as that moves out, right, you think, okay, high pressure is going to build in. But it's not, because this. So this area of low pressure continues to kind of just hover over the desert southwest. What that does is it squashes that ridge of high pressure and the heat associated with that. So what does that mean for us? Below average temperatures, looking very pleasant. Let's take a look at what we've seen so far for August. Now again, remember, it was quite hot to start off the month of August. Then we saw a nice drop in our temperatures leading up to Iron Man, right? And then the temperatures start to increase this week. 98 degrees on Monday, 103 yesterday, 102 today. And I don't think we're going to drop below normal, or at least well below normal. We'll be close to normal here by the time we get into your Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and maybe even getting below normal. And it will be below normal. Actually, as you can see here, the blue line is 98 degrees. That's the normal high for Redding. So we'll be below that by Friday, and pretty much keeping it that way as we go through next week as well. And by the way, Chico probably closer to the low 90s. Now the lakes have been dropping. That's typical, that's normal, that's what we see during the summer. We fill the lakes up during the winter, and then we use that water during the summer. So this right here, we're just slightly below historical average for Shasta Lake and right at average for Lake Oroville. Lakes are healthy. Lakes are still in good shape. We do have those wave heights actually dropping over the next 24 hours, so no need to worry about any small craft advisories, but there will be that fog on the coast and over the ocean. That's going to keep that visibility fairly low, with those winds from the northwest at about 5 to 10 knots. All right, so here's your neighborhood forecast, sponsored by Dignity Health and Grange Co-op. Here's what we got. Temperatures are going to be generally in the upper 90s, maybe still around 100 degrees for places like Weaverville, Lewiston, 99 degrees for Trinity Center, 92 for Ruth. Still some of that smoke, especially for northern Trinity County. Out towards the north coast, yeah, you've got that marine layer. There's going to be some days to see more clearing than others. Otherwise, temperatures in the low 60s. And really, when you look at the overall trend across the board for the valley, inland, and even for the mountains, you're going to notice the trend is going downward with your temperatures, right? We're talking low to mid 80s by the time we do get into next week for places like Siskiyou County. Modoc County, upper 80s for your daytime highs by the weekend, and early next week. In the eastern mountains, well, of course, the big spread here, right? 81 for Viola, but much warmer in Susanville with a high of about 97 degrees today. Take a look at the valley to the south. Yeah, still below 100 degrees for places like Chico at 98, 96 for Durham, Elk Creek about 96. There's your 70 forecast for Chico. Mid to upper 90s through Friday, low to mid 90s by the weekend, and low 90s by Monday and Tuesday. 102 for Redding today. That's just 1 degree shy of what we saw yesterday. So yeah, not much change. It's going to be about the same. 98 degrees for Whiskeytown, 101 out in Cottonwood. All right, let's take a look at that 7-day forecast for Redding. 102 for today, 100 Thursday. See, the temperature's just slowly dropping. We're just shaving off a few degrees here and there. Mid 90s for Friday, Saturday. Now, there may be a little bit of a spike on Sunday, but Monday temperatures should be back down about 95, and then 93 degrees by Tuesday of next week. So it looks like, again, it is going to be a bit cooler as we do go into next week. There you go. That's a look at your forecast here for today. Let's check in with some of you this morning. Right after, of course, Kenny checked in this morning. We have also Jeff Johnson saying, good morning, Mike. And we've also got a good morning coming in from Curtis Brown. Thank you for checking in this morning. Good morning to you. Good morning to you all. And if you want to chime in this morning on Facebook or even on YouTube, you just might see your comment right here on Coffee with Krueger. All right, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the national calendar. What did I do? I did something. I did not mean to do that. I meant to do that. All right, there you go. National Potato Day. So I would say along the lines of, maybe eating a baked potato or French fries or tater tots or something, right? National Soft Ice Cream Day. Well, that's a good day to celebrate. Not sure where you can get soft ice cream around here. I guess Dairy Queen would be a place you can get soft ice cream. Elsewhere, I don't know. I mean, yogurt, right? If you go to Cookies and Yogurt, you might be able to get, you could, unofficially call it celebrate Soft Ice Cream Day. A lot of great flavors over there. National Aviation Day. I had a couple of friends that are pilots, so happy National Aviation Day to you all who fly. And that's it. That's it. Just three things to get excited about and celebrate. There's always something to celebrate, right? Whether it's a national calendar or not, there's always something to celebrate. Well, I say we're calling it a day. That's what we're doing. We're going to go ahead and take a look at some of the cameras out there this morning, and it's turning out to be a gorgeous start to the day. A little warm in some spots, especially in the valley, but we are also starting off with some clouds this morning, making for a beautiful sunrise over Redding and many other parts of Northern California. Like I said, if you happen to capture a beautiful sunrise or sunset or a beautiful picture nonetheless, you can always send those pictures to weather from the free Weather NorCal app, that is, and you just might see it right here on Coffee with Krueger. Well, I hope you all have yourselves a beautiful, beautiful start to the day. I know I am. And we will see you tomorrow morning right here on Coffee with Krueger.